Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia, and with me today we have Nick.
Hello.
Hello, welcome back.
Like I never left.
Oh. And Brandon.
True. Hey, I don't ever leave.
So even though I'm not here every week, I do know that once we end the recording for the week, Brandon just sits idle in his computer chair.
Bro, I wish that was true.
Which I know goes against what we've talked about with him, like playing. Like I think you know what happens. His body stays there, but his soul leaves, and that's how he's able to play so many things in such a little amount of time.
Bro, I have a PS5, an Xbox, and my gaming PC all hooked up to the same monitors. I don't have to move.
Yes, it's special.
Anyways, we're here to talk about games and things. And on the agenda today, Game Awards that are coming up. They've unveiled their nominations, so we're going to talk about those. And then I don't know, some news and things.
I think we should talk about some of the discourse behind it as well, because there's a lot to talk about. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get to those things.
All right, you ready to get into it?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm saying so. Start a content of the creator of the year, because this starts the first bit of discourse, and it makes me laugh a lot. Because one of these things on the list of content creator of the years is not like the other four.
What do you mean?
I Queso often wears bunny ears and shows up at the Dodgers game.
Notable Dodgers fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I don't know if this is my age showing.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are these three dudes in the middle?
I have no idea. I didn't even really know much of Queso aside from like meme clips I've seen that he's made before. But I mean, apparently he's pretty chill, so cool. I'm down for that. I mean, I voted for the VTuber.
I also voted for the VTuber.
Here's the thing. It's Pecora, and the funniest part about this, Mike, so we can give you a little bit of backstory, this is one of Kojima's favorite VTubers.
Oh.
And she got put on the list. Exactly. So, like, the joke around has been, like, that Kojima held a gun to Jeff Keighley's head, like, put my VTuber senpai in here.
That's so funny to me, because, so, I'm not into the VTuber realm really that much, but I will say the most VTuber I've seen this year is the Shark Girl, because she was at a Dodgers game.
So was Pecora. She was there with them as well.
Confusing a lot of middle-aged white men, I feel.
Yes.
So I mean, sure. I guess.
So I got recommendations for you, Nick. I think you'd really like Bibu. She is a legitimate, really hardcore gamer that plays like every goddamn thing ever and is really good at the game that she plays.
All right.
But Pecora is like very funny. A lot of people really, really like her. She's the Japanese side of the VTubers. The one I recommend to you just now is the English side. But the thing about her that makes her stand out is that she is actually in person gone to Kojima Studios and is friends directly with Kojima.
Hold on, let me pull up this picture of Pecora at Kojima Productions.
Yeah, the best part is the actual person is standing there. He just put her model over the top of her.
Okay, hold on.
So people were like, enhance, I need to see that reflection. But he even edited the reflection before he put the picture out.
What a good guy. He edited out her reflection and then put Pecora's reflection, like model's reflection. Jesus Christ.
You know what the funny thing is? Also, she did a playthrough of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and Kojima showed up in her stream and just wrote, "She ate a snake. Nice."
I'm zooming in. I'm zooming in.
It was so good.
Because Ludens has like a plastic mask on him,
which
is reflective.
Yeah.
Nope. This man covered all his bases.
Yeah, he don't want to dox this senpai. But anyway, she is actually quite funny. She's very enjoyable, and I don't see any way that she doesn't win because VTuber Sims will 100% vote for her in droves. So we can move on from that because I just thought that was really funny that we have have that juxtaposition.
Yeah.
So next is most anticipated game, and I actually think that there is something notably missing from here. Here's some things, honestly.
For which category?
Most anticipated game.
Oh, you're going backwards?
Yes, absolutely. We're not doing.
We're gonna finish with Game of the Year, I guess.
We're gonna finish with Game of the Year. We're not gonna start with it because I feel like that ruins a lot of the entire discussion if we start with it. So yeah.
Okay.
So if you look at most anticipated game, we have here Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghost of Yatai, Grand Theft Auto 6, Metroid Prime 4, and Monster Hunter Wilds. Here's the thing. A lot of people are looking forward to 2 games that are coming out next year, supposedly, and have been announced to be releasing next year. And those 2 games are Doom, the new fucking Doom game. Yeah. Doom the Old Ages, I think is what it's called, or something like that. Damn, I don't remember. Yeah. Dark Ages, something like that. I do not remember the title, I'm to be honest.
Your own brain snubbed it.
Exactly. As well as the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. There was no way in hell Jeff Keighley was going to put that on this list. But also, it is something a lot of people are looking forward to.
I feel like all 5 of these games clear both of those, though.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, which one would you take out to replace it?
None of them.
I'm like, none of them.
None of them.
I personally...
Brandon, if you say Prime 4, I'm flying down to Georgia and beating your ass.
Nope. I personally would
say Monster Hunter. You know that's crazy because that game's going to sell like crazy.
I was going to say I would personally replace Ghost of Yatai because we have only seen like a 30-second clip of it and not anything else. We don't know enough about it, and it just got announced like 4 weeks ago.
But we also know nothing about Death Stranding 2, Grand Theft Auto 6, Prime 4. The game we know the most about, honestly, is Monster Hunter Wild.
It's true. We do know a lot about Monster Hunter Wild. And also, Death Stranding 2 did recently have like a 45-minute long video where they showed a lot off.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
So, yeah.
It really hurt when I was looking at this to vote. It really hurt me to look at Ghost of Yotai and Death Stranding 2 and be like, I'm so sorry, and click Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah. I don't think it matters what you vote for here because Grand Theft Auto 6 is winning.
That's unfortunate.
But, yeah, I know. But I do think my choice would probably be Metroid Prime 4 as well. For as much shit as I'm going to give Nintendo.
Yeah, probably Metroid, obviously.
So me and my friends, I don't know if probably not because it was recent. But me and my friends have been playing the Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer.
Ooh, it's good. It's really good.
It's so solid. It's such a solid, fun multiplayer to play. And then when Ghost of Yotai was announced, we were just like, oh shit. So I'm super, super excited for that game. Like, I'm definitely buying Yotai and Death Stranding 2 like the day they come out. But Prime 4, I've been waiting for 7 years?
You've been waiting since the last Nintendo console was announced for it.
Yeah.
Next, we move on to Best Adaptation, and I don't really care about this one. There are 2 clear choices here, and the rest are very much just, fillers. And we got Arcane, Fallout, Knuckles, Like a Dragon, Yakuza, and Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft. You actually think Knuckles would win?
I didn't watch Knuckles.
It's really bad. So is Like a Dragon, Yakuza. Yes, you're correct. Yes, and so is Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft. The only 2 choices here are Arcane or Fallout, and either one is a good choice, in my opinion. But, yeah.
Take a wild stab at which one I voted for.
You're going to go Fallout, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm going to go Arcane, because I hate League of Legends, and Arcane is good. So, it's simple as that.
I would go with Fallout myself, because that's the only one I've actually cared to watch more than one episode for. I did watch like maybe 15 minutes of Like a Dragon and I got bored.
It's so bad. They couldn't get anything correct about Like a Dragon. It's so bad.
I haven't watched any of Arcane, but I will say the Fallout TV show, I think I've said it on here, is legit my favorite Fallout story, like modern Fallout storyline that I've experienced. So like I couldn't not.
You should give Arcane a try. I think you would like it, Nick. Yeah. It's very, very anime. Like very much so. Moving on. Best multiplayer, we have Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Mario Party Jamboree, Tekken 8, and Space Marine 2. My choice personally is Black Ops 6. I think Black Ops 6 is easily the best Call of Duty we've had since Black Ops 2, and it's really, really fucking fun. I would have gave this to Helldivers 2 if Sony didn't royally fuck it up, but they did. So no. Any thoughts from you guys?
I mean, no serious thoughts. I haven't played any of these 5 games. I probably would just go with Mario Party Jamboree just because.
That's fair. I've heard Mario it's Party. Really good.
It is very good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. I've heard it's one of the best ones.
Neither of you guys bought it?
Nope.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I love it. It's very good.
Well, yeah.
I can talk about it more another time.
You're the fighting guy in Tekken 8 this year. What are your thoughts on that?
I voted for Helldivers 2 because I thought it'd be funny.
Why the fuck would you do that?
Because it's funny.
Don't reward Sony, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I like Tekken 8's fun. Don't get me wrong. Tekken 8 is very, very good. Tekken 8 is really good. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I think multiplayer game, this might sound silly. I do not think fighting games. That
does sound silly, since it's the only game that you legitimately can only play in a multiplayer setting. Well, even when playing against AI, you can't play.
I listen. It doesn't make sense. I get it. But like for me, like best multiplayer game, I feel like should be like greater than 2 people.
Okay.
Like Mario Party's fun with 2 people, better with 4. Black Ops 6, a full squad of your boys. It's a fun night.
Zombies 2, in Black Ops 6 is incredible.
I didn't experience it, but I know people were having a fun old time. So I don't know. Like Tekken 8,
Sony ruined it.
Tekken 8's kind of like a silly one here to me. But Mario Party Jamboree is actually quite good. I think I voted for that for Family Game. I forget. No. I'll have to remember. When we go back to Family Games, we'll have to see. Spoiler alert, I did vote for Balatro in every category it was nominated for.
Oh, my man. Let's fucking go. Balatro sweep incoming.
But, no, if you guys, because obviously, like, Christmas sales and stuff will be coming up soon. Mario Party Jamboree, super, super fun. Obviously, you can play online, so, like, you know, we all could play.
That would be really fun, actually.
I played it on my birthday with my friends. We were all high. And
nice.
I mean, obviously,
that's
doing
the best
anything
time
high
to play Mario Party
is fun. But my partner and I have a great time because we steal each other's stars back and forth, and it's a lot of goofy fun, a lot of good maps on it. And the Jamboree mechanic is kind of silly, but like it doesn't.
I've heard the mini games are really good.
Depending on what it is, it's like if you get Waluigi for example, for your Jamboree partner. The way you get Jamboree partners is you land on the space. You got to play the mini game. Whoever wins the mini game gets the Jamboree partner. Whoever landed on the space gets like extra points towards getting the Jamboree partner. And each character has their own different set of games. So like Mario, you go through like 4 or 5 different like classic Mario Party games. Waluigi is just straight up 3 minutes of pinball, and whoever has the highest score in pinball gets them.
That sounds fun as fuck.
Okay. It is fun as fuck.
I love pinball.
So yeah, no, definitely like if you guys like want a fun party game to play during the holidays this year, pick it up because you can also there's an 8-player mode as well. So yeah, no, a lot of fun. Really enjoy that one.
Okay,
all right.
Check it out. It's on my to-play list.
Good.
So I'll definitely get there at some point.
All right.
Very good.
Well then, so your pick would be Mario Party Jamboree?
Nice. That had Helldivers, I thought.
Oh yeah, that's right. Helldivers
for the joke. We can skip best sports and racing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we can.
I will say I am shocked that the college football game got snubbed because I feel like everybody was.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I do feel like that is a major snub from the category, and I don't know why. Best sim and strategy. I've only played one of these, and it's the one I voted for.
Manor
No, I've played on Unicorn Overlord.
Unicorn Overlord's the only one I've actually heard of.
Yeah. I'm surprised, Mike, you don't play Age of Mythology games.
Me too, a little bit.
It seems like something I would like. I just never.
I also voted for Unicorn Overlord for 2 reasons. One of my friends played it and said it was very, very good.
Yeah, 3 of mine have, and I've played like 4 hours.
2, I just wanted to vote for something Sega and Atlas related because they've been having a banger year. So
they have been doing excellent this year. So let's just move right on to best family game because you said this was the one you voted for Mario Party Jamboree in.
You know what? I might have voted Plucky Squire in this one.
Oh, I didn't like Plucky Squire.
I'm surprised you didn't vote
at all.
Astrobot.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't vote Astrobot either.
Family game.
Astrobot's fucking peak though.
I love Astrobot. Listen, again, you know that meme of the black guy holding the gun in the rain? That was me. That was me looking at Balatro for Game of the Year, and then like they shot Astrobot. And I was like, I'm so sorry.
All right, let's move on to best fighting real quick.
Wait, what did you pick?
We didn't even talk about this category.
What did you want to? So you picked Plucky Squire.
I think,
I guess I will ask you.
I didn't play.
Oh, okay, it's not good.
Oh,
I did play it. It's not good.
I just like the artist, so that's why I picked it.
I do too, and I was super excited for it, and then it was the most dumbed down, garbage, handholdy, not fun experience ever. It was like worse than like Sun and Moon.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Like, did you vote for anything in here?
I mean, I haven't voted on any of these yet. Oh. I would vote for, in terms of things I played, I think Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is probably the best thing I played, but I probably would actually vote Astrobot for this category.
Hey, my man, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Princess Peach Showtime sucks.
That's what I've heard from everyone that played it.
I heard nothing about it, so that's all I needed to know.
Yeah. Plucky Squire, we just talked about, it just kind of a very disappointing game.
Yeah,
and Mario Party Jamboree would be a fun choice for this one. And I'd really enjoyed Echoes of Wisdom, but just I just feel like everything I've read, Astrobot's probably a more solid game. So
I agree. Astrobot is really fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sorry for trying to rush that one. I thought we had already had our answers out there, and I wasn't really thinking. So let's move on to fighting game now, since we've actually talked about stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you land here, Nick?
I will say in this category, Tekken 8 free. There's no shot any of these games win over Tekken 8. I'm sorry, Multiversus is trash.
Yep.
Sparking Zero, not a fighting game. That's a Budokai Tenkaichi game. It is not a fighting game.
It's still technically a fighting game. If you could have, if you could have Smash Bros. In a fighting game category, which they've done multiple times before, you can have Sparking Zero there as well. Just saying.
Sparking Zero as a fighting game is so mechanically different than anything you've ever played.
It is, and that's what I think makes it good. I think that's what makes it good.
But like, I don't know. It's just.
I mean, Tekken clearly wins. You're not wrong, but I think that Sparking Zero is really good.
The shame of it is, it's funny. They definitely had to round this category out with the Arcade Classics collection.
Yes,
and like that by no means is bad. Like, it's got obviously like the best Capcom fighting games you can play on it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So like check that out. But like, no, Tekken 8's fucking. It's so good. I bought a
Tekken
new
8 is fantastic.
I bought a new. Actually, I didn't buy one. My partner got me it for my birthday. It's a new leverless fight stick just so I could play Tekken 8 because I'm like, man, this stick sucks. And they're like, here, try this. And
I super got my friend into playing fighting games with Street Fighter 6 last year, and now he's like really likes fighting games.
Tekken's so good.
Me and him played Tekken 8 a lot this year, and it's so good.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah. He even went through like the entirety, like build your own character arcade mode, where you actually go from arcade to arcade and win arcade tournaments until you get to Evo, and played through the entirety of that like story mode, and he really enjoyed it. So
very good.
Yeah. He's become a fighting game fan.
Nice.
Much like he also became a VTuber fan. He kind of fell down that hole, both of them, very quickly.
Good. He should try Strive next.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna get him into Marvel vs. Capcom whenever it's like there's a cheaper sale on the arcade classics, so me and him can play that, because I really like Marvel vs. Capcom, and I think he would like it too, since he likes both Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8. He likes Smash too, but almost everyone that has a fucking pulse likes Smash, so
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mike, do you have anything to add to this category?
No, it'd just be me picking blindly. So, I mean, I'd probably pick like, I don't know, Marvel vs. Capcom or something.
Okay, just so you know, that Marvel vs. Capcom thing is a compilation game of all their games from the 90s.
Which is fine. Those are not bad games.
Okay. I was just making sure you know that it's not a new game. That's all I wanted to let you know.
Totally aware.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Best RPG. I think this is a tough category, honestly.
So
yeah,
I didn't
like
play
Brandon's Nightmare.
I didn't play any of these. I do plan on playing one of these hopefully before the year is done.
Dragon's Dogma 2.
Them.
No, actually, I want to play Metaphor.
Yes,
and I voted
really good.
and I voted Metaphor.
Yeah.
Although I have heard Infinite Wealth is pretty good.
Oh, I have so many thoughts on that.
I've heard 7 is a game.
7. That is the best way to describe Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's a game.
I'm ignoring Erd Tree. Also,
Erd Tree is
Dragon's Dogma
fantastic.
2 was not good from what I heard.
It's actually fantastic.
Is it
again,
really?
yes, it's great. So Dragon's Dogma 2 is really good, but you have to really like their combat style, which is very different from any other RPG in existence, especially with the fact that there's like no lock-on mechanics whatsoever for any of the fighting in the game, which is a really interesting way of going about it, which kind of makes the game feel a little bit jank at times, but other times it gives you total freedom over the way you play it, and it feels very nice to play. But it just depends on where you're fighting and what you're fighting at what point in time on how good the actual combat mechanics of Dragon's Dogma 2 feel. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth here, I have a really big problem with this game in that it feels like a filler arc, because it is. And as such, I actually don't like it as much as the original Final Fantasy VII remake, like at all.
One of my friends who is playing it, or he's like a big RPG fan in general, he described it as this is going to be what's episode 5 for Star Wars?
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, so he's saying that once everything's said and done and the last part comes out, that once everybody's played everything, that he believes personally that Rebirth will be seen as the best of the 3.
Okay.
I don't know.
Possible. It is possible.
I mean, it's if the next one is shitty for sure. All I know about that game is that besides it being Final Fantasy VII, people complain about how it looked, and apparently it looks better somehow on the PS5 Pro, which is cool, I guess.
Both of those things are true. It looks like everyone smeared Vaseline and went to a Diddy party when you're playing on the base PS5. It looks really bad. Incredible. It looks really fucking bad. If you're playing at 30 FPS, it looks better, but then you're playing at 30 FPS, so who gives a fuck? But on PS5 Pro, from literally everything I've seen using PSSR, they've been able to actually enhance the graphic quality, so the Vaseline effect is no longer there. It looks better overall, and it is probably the one game to get a Pro for. So if you were thinking about getting a Pro and you're wanting to play Rebirth, you probably should just wait to play Rebirth when you get a Pro. Just saying. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, I put 120 hours into this game.
That's it?
Yeah, and it was really good until like the final 10. And then it took a nosedive to the point where it slowly started dawning on me. Nothing that I've just done for the last 60 hours matter whatsoever to the overarching story of this entire game, and I'm about to end up right back at square one. And I did. And as such, I really fell off of this game. I think it's easily an 8, maybe 9 out of 10. I think it has some of the best absolute moments in the entire franchise of Yakuza and Like a Dragon. The problem is the overarching narrative of this game in general really lets you down by the time you reach the credits. And it's very upsetting because it also just kind of baits out a sequel, which isn't good for a game that was marketed as the send-off. So, yeah, I don't know the entirety of Metaphor ReFantagio, which I'm going to move on to real quick, but I do know that the game is really good from the first 6 hours, and as such, I voted for Metaphor ReFantagio.
Yeah, I think that's the most solid pick on here. That'd be my guess, Joe. Well, I'm surprised. I honestly figured you'd probably go for Elden Ring because you've been saying it's one of your favorites.
I love Shadow of the Erd Tree. However, when it comes to best RPG, I like looking at RPGs as an actual RPG and not as a action RPG per se. Not that there's anything wrong with that. However, we have 3 action RPGs here and 2 actual turn-based RPGs. And one of them is a DLC, which is totally fine because it's like a 40-hour DLC. It is literally a sequel to Elden Ring in everything except name. but I still don't feel okay putting it as the best RPG because of the fact that there's so much you have to go through to get to it, and then it's very difficult. And I really enjoyed all of that, but I recognize that other people might not. But I will also say, I think Erdtree deserves to be on every list that it's on. And you'll see as we get further in the other list that it's on. I actually think it deserves to be on it.
Spoilers, I don't.
That's fine. We'll have that discussion. But I'll give my reasoning for it when we get there. But I think that's all I've got to say for RPG. Best RPG of the year. Best action adventure. This one was really easy.
Astrobot.
No, Brandon picked Silent Hill.
I absolutely did.
I would pick Zelda for this one for me.
But Astrobot's peak.
Astrobot is 100% peak. But Silent Hill 2. Holy shit, Silent Hill 2. That's all I will say about that game. If you've never played Silent Hill 2,
Silent Hill 2 is in Astrobot, so
that's also a very good point. Have you ever played Silent Hill 2, Nick?
I've never played a Silent Hill game.
Okay. Let me just tell you this now.
No, hold on. That's a lie. I did play PT.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Let me just tell you this right now, Nick. If you have a chance to play any of the games here that you didn't play, this is the one I recommend you play.
I will wait.
Silent Hill,
not $70.
That is totally fine. It will definitely be $40 by time Black Friday rolls around. I'm almost positive of it. And I recommend picking it up then. Silent Hill 2 is the game that if you've been listening to me on this podcast this whole year leading up to it, I have bitched the most about. I ate every single fucking word I said after I played this remake. It is absolutely amazing. It is fantastic. It went from being something I did not care about to I'm about to play it for my third time this year alone. So, yeah. This game's awesome. And Mike, you said you picked Echoes of Wisdom, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I would pick for this category.
Is it because it's the only thing you played, or?
Let me go back. I think it was the only thing I played, but I really enjoyed the game. I think it's a great action adventure game.
Okay.
So I thought it was really solid. I really enjoyed it, and I really like the puzzle stuff that they did with it. So I think it's a good representation of this category. I do think it's really weird that they have best action adventure game and also best action game with the differentiation just being the percentage of combat. That's kind of strange to me, but whatever. I feel like it's kind of splitting hairs a little bit.
I kind of get it. They're trying to stuff like 6 different genres into action adventure instead of just having those genres have separate categories. And I kind of think it sucks that they're doing that because, like, if you say action adventure, I don't instantly think of Silent Hill 2. Like, simple as that. Just like when they put Dead Space Remake in there last year, I did not think of Dead Space Remake instantly. However, when I look at the rest of these and I look at Silent Hill 2, spoiler alert for you, Nick, but I think Silent Hill 2 has surpassed Astrobot for me for one of this year's best games. It's legitimately that good. So. Yeah. I don't really have much else to say about this category. Do any of you?
No, like I said, I voted Astrobot because Astrobot. Yeah. I mean, I don't. We'll talk about it more. But I really did love Astrobot.
I loved Astrobot as well. I think Astrobot is the best game that we've had that's a platformer since Mario Odyssey, easily. Yeah. But I don't know, man. Silent Hill 2 is incredible. All right, so moving on to best action game. This is a game that's more focused around action primarily. So you drop the puzzle, you drop the survival elements, drop that sort of thing. So this is just straight action. And for that, we have Black Myth Wukong, Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, and Space Marine 2. You know how you had your Astrobot moment where you're like, I'm sorry, man, I have to do it. Yeah. I have to do it. I had my Black Myth Wukong moment with this category. I had to shoot Black Myth Wukong in the head so that Stellar Blade could be best action game of the year.
Wild.
Here's the thing. I played Shadow of the Erdtree, Stellar Blade, and Black Myth Wukong back to back. And I guess Rise of Ronin also, back to back. All 4 games. I finished one, went straight to the other. Finished one, went straight to the other. Finished one, went straight to the other. Out of all of these, the only one that I have not finished is Black Myth Wukong, because it has actually been difficult getting it to run at times. But it's now patched up fully, and it's running really well. And also, I didn't fully understand the combat when I first started it, because I tried to treat it like a Souls-like, but there's a lot more nuances to it than just that. And I do really, really like Black Myth Wukong. But Stellar Blade was a game I played for 3 days straight. Like, I only stopped playing that game to sleep, eat, and do anything that I needed to do that was important. Otherwise, the only game I played for those 3 days was Stellar Blade. And I think Stellar Blade got a really, really bad rap because of all the bullshit discourse going on during it, but from both sides of the fucking agenda spectrum. And Stellar Blade is essentially this year's and this console generation's Nier Automata. And it is really fucking good. Like, really, really fucking good.
I stayed far away from Stellar Blade.
You should play it.
I'd rather not, honestly. Every time I went on Twitter, it was just some dude, mostly Grums, being like, I can't see your coochie lips. This game is bad. I'm like, this fucking shit is stupid. It feels like Stellar Blade feels like...
Don't let those people fucking win.
Stellar Blade feels like somebody... The person who likes Stellar Blade feels like they played Nier Automata and their only takeaway was that 2B was hot. That's how it feels like to me.
That's how the fucking internet is fucking processing it. This game's actually really fucking good.
And then they put 2B in it, and I was like, alright, cool.
Yeah, 2B's in it now today. Actually, on this day of recording, they put Nier characters into Stellar Blade.
I was so happy it got snubbed for Game of the Year. I was like, good, fuck them.
No, it should have gotten Game of the Year. It actually should be on the list, easily. Stellar Blade is one of the best gaming experiences I had this year. I know you saw every fucking garbage discourse on Twitter, and that's totally fine. Grums, or whatever the fuck his name is a dumb shit who is nothing but a grifter, and it doesn't fucking matter. But Stellar Blade was caught in the crossfire, and that game does not deserve any hate just because you hate the person that was saying shit about it.
Even like him aside, like anytime I saw anybody talk about that game, they were just like, look at how much her butt jiggles, look at how much her boobs jiggle. And I'm like, is this game cool, or are you guys just all jerking off to it? Because this game seems like nobody actually cares about the story.
So let me break this down. This game's really fucking cool. It's a lot about like humanity and what it means to be human versus machine. It's got a lot of cyberpunk elements to it, that sort of thing. And it has been done before, and it's totally fine that it's been done before, but it's done in a way that's very interesting, and it has a lot of elements of going back to Nier Automata, where it's got some thought-provoking moments, but also the gameplay elements that are in here is essentially a mix of Souls-like games and Devil May Cry, and it's a really, really good mix. And on top of all of that, it has the literal best soundtrack that was released this entire year. Period. Like, the soundtrack is absolute peak. You listen to the soundtrack and you know already, okay, this game's amazing. And you play this game with the soundtrack that is going along with it, and it is actually like fucking incredible. I'm not saying that it's a fucking 11 out of 10 life-changing experience like several other games I mentioned, like Nier Automata, like that sort of thing. But I do think this game is caught up in a lot of bullshit discourse, and as such really ruined its chances to be put in the Game of the Year running. Spoiler alert, it's not in the Game of the Year running, and I do think it actually deserves to be there. I don't think it deserves to be there as much as Silent Hill 2 deserves to be there, which also isn't in the Game of the Year running. But I do think that Stellar Blade is a game that just got caught up in a lot of grifting bullshit this year, and as such, I mean, it really got fucked over because it's a fantastic game. I think Stellar Blade's better than everything in this category. Easily.
I don't remember what I voted for this one, honestly.
Probably Helldivers 2 again for the meme.
Either that or Warhammer.
Warhammer's really good.
Because I also wasn't going to vote for Monkey Souls. I also didn't play Black Ops 6. So
were you not going to vote for Monkey Souls for the same reason you didn't vote for Stellar Blade?
I didn't vote for Monkey Souls because I don't want another Souls-like game to win anything.
Okay, that's also fair. Yeah.
I know you're gonna tell me I'm wrong. I'm so tired of getting like a new Souls-like game every year and people pretending like it's different. It's like the same shit every single time.
So as I
they
did
look the same.
So as I did mention, Black Myth Wukong was the only game I didn't fully finish because I didn't understand the combat and I tried to treat it like a Souls-like, which was my problem. So that should tell you enough right there to let you know that it's not like other Souls-likes, and there's a lot more to it than something like Dark Souls. Actually, Black Myth Wukong and Stellar Blade both share the same place this year, where their Souls-like combat takes a backseat to like combos and shit like that, as opposed to Souls-like combat. And they're more of a mix between Souls combat, so it's like very Souls-light combat, and like your Devil May Cry, like your Ninja Gaiden, like that sort of thing. I do think those two games are way closer to something akin to like a character action game than just a straight Souls game. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about VR AR. Do you guys even care about the VR AR category?
Not
I don't.
at all.
I did vote for this one. I will just briefly mention.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did vote for Metal Hellsinger, and then I moved on with my life.
That's a great game. I probably would have voted for Batman Arkham Shadows because I've heard it's fantastic, but I haven't got to play it, so I'm just not going to vote because I don't like the fact that we're now tying VR games to headsets. That's just bullshit, and I'm not okay with that. So you don't know?
You mean like Quest exclusive or something like that?
No, I mean a specific version of the Quest exclusive.
Gotcha.
If you don't buy the newest version, you can't play Batman Arkham Shadows.
What do you mean you don't like VR games that are headset only?
No. So, Batman Arkham Shadows is a game that is tied to the new Quest 3 only. You cannot play it on any other headsets. You cannot play it on PC. It's only the Quest 3.
Interesting.
And from everything that I have seen, there is nothing specifically that makes it Quest 3 only, like accessible, like from a hardware standpoint. It's just an exclusive game only to that headset. And as such, I'm like, that's just kind of bullshit. And I mean, it's the same way I felt about PSVR 2. Because, I had a lot of PSVR games, and then Sony was like, hey, PSVR 2, none of your PSVR games work, get fucked. And I was like, okay, well, that's fucking stupid.
They said they would. They're like, oh yeah, these will work. Just kidding.
So yeah, let's move on to the 3 game categories in a row that one game wins automatically. So best mobile game.
I'm shocked. No, that shocks me because I honestly would have bet money that you would have voted Zenless Zone Zero for mobile game.
It's the gun to the back of the head thing again, because much like you said with Astrobot, I feel the same way with any category that Balatro is in.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, so this one the nominees were AFK Journey, Balatro, Pokemon TCG, which I was surprised that this
I love that game. That game's really good.
It's
I've
very
been playing
good.
it like the last week.
It is very good. So shocked that it's here because I'm like, didn't it come out like very recently? And like
it came out 3 weeks ago, and then they just threw it in. But so did some other games in here, like Metaphor.
Waves.
Yeah. But it's also strange though, because in the past they've been very reluctant to put stuff out that's close to the nomination time. Like I know we've definitely had times in the past where we're like, why didn't this game put on there? Because it came out in November. Like
I'm gonna be 100% honest. The reason why they didn't do the cap off this year is because they didn't want Stellar Blade to be in Game of the Year running. 100%. Looking at the people that are the the ones that did the nominees this year.
I don't know if that's it. Because if that was the case, it wouldn't be in any category.
I don't think so. But it's fine. It's fine. We'll move on from there. But anyway, so Withering Waves and Zenless Zone Zero, which you already alluded to, you thought I would have voted for. I love ZZZ. ZZZ is a shit ton of fun. I haven't been playing it on mobile. I've been playing it on PC. But also on top of all of that, like I said, Balatro is in this category.
I will say,
by default.
Funny enough, so when they announced the mobile version of Balatro, they were like, "Hey guys, get ready for your productivity to take a huge hit." I will say, in the weeks following me getting Balatro for my phone, I did indeed have a conversation with my boss about why my work is not getting done. I made more progress in a week on that game on my phone than I had in the month or two of my PC version. And currently I've gapped myself on the PC version by like leaps and bounds. Like I'm so far ahead on the phone. But yeah, no, Balatro is that wins this one easily.
Yep.
And it plays. I honestly like. It's funny because when it was coming out for phones, I was like, I don't know how good this is gonna play. And then when I got it on my phone, I was like, I actually only want to play this on my phone ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm faster at Balatro on my phone than I am PC.
Makes
Nice.
sense.
Just because like I can move my thumb faster than I can scroll the mouse. But even like when I was playing Balatro on my Steam Deck, like if I were to rank my preferred ways of playing it, like phone, Steam Deck, PC.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Yeah.
Steam Deck is number one for me.
Yeah.
I don't have it on my phone, but I feel like if I did, I just don't want to pay another $10 for it. I think that's how much it is on phone.
I'm about to buy it physically.
Oh damn!
I'm gonna give them all my. Actually, it's cool too because for my birthday, my friends got me. There's a Balatro T-shirt where it's the double tag Joker, and
nice.
It just says "Enjoy" and it has the little soda bottle. I was like, oh, I love that. But yeah, so I voted for Balatro with that. As well as the next category.
Yeah, let's see if Mike has anything to say about this category.
Let me see. We're still on the best mobile game, or do we go to the best indie game?
Best mobile game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would do the trading card game. That's probably what I would do. That's
It's very fun,
and I didn't love Balatro that much, as you remember. So
yeah,
that's what I would pick.
I'm playing it right now.
I have my phone charging, so I can continue playing it. What level are you guys?
Like 16, 17?
I've only got to 14 so far. Damn it! How many cards do you have? I almost have 400.
I have like 500.
Jesus Christ! All right.
My friend also, my buddy who's playing it, he legit opened the God Pack in the game yesterday.
Oh fuck!
Which I didn't know existed until he set the thing. Where is? Oh wait, I'm looking on my phone when I can just look on my Discord. The pack that he opened had art. Oh, Jesus Christ! It's a picture for Ents. Articuno EX, Mewtwo EX Gold. So these are all full arts. Articuno EX full art, like rainbow colored. Gold Mewtwo EX, regular full art Mewtwo EX, 2 of them.
Brother, man.
And Gengar EX.
Oh wow.
He got everything.
Yeah, I was like, you bitch. How the fuck? I'll post it in here because it should embed in here. But I was like, how the fuck? And then I couldn't Wonder Pick it. It didn't show up in Wonder Picks.
Uh-oh.
I was like, God damn it. But yes, very fun. Very good game. Love it.
Okay.
All right. Moving on from
category.
that. Next category. Best debut indie game. So we got Animal Well, which is Big Mode, and Shared Memory. Shared Memory is, I believe, a one-person team, right? Is that correct? And then the publisher is Big Mode, which is Video Game Donkeys company. And then we have Balatro, which is also a one-person team.
Correct.
And then we have Manor Lords, which I played a little bit of Manor Lords. Manor Lords is all right. It's pretty good. Then we have Pacific Drives. I played a lot of Pacific Drive. That game's really good. And then the Plucky Squire.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all of this, if Balatro wasn't here, I would pick Pacific Drive. However, I'm picking Balatro again.
Yeah.
That's fair. I probably would go with Animal Well on this one, or maybe Pacific Drive. One of those two I would pick from between the.
So Mike doesn't actually like Balatro, Nick, in case you didn't know.
Did you play Balatro?
We did. We talked about it on I think one of the last times you were on. I think it was like literally like I was like not a fan, and you bought it like the same night.
Yep.
So that puts it in like context. It was like right around the time you picked it up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I played it for a few hours. Just I'm not a big fan of poker, so that just really didn't gel well with me. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
So I went from I've never really played poker to I feel it's dangerous because I live this close to Atlantic City. I feel like I could go to Atlantic City and just sweep. But then I gotta remember. But no, then I gotta remember there's no jokers or anything.
Yeah, there's no joker cards. You can't cheat in real poker.
Nope. Nice.
All right. So then we got Best Independent Game, which is next, which is Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Neva, and UFO 50.
Mm-hmm.
I already know Mike's pick for this, and you already know mine and Nick's pick for this.
Yeah.
Special
I'm 100% Lorelei in the
game is
Laser Eyes.
fucking cool.
I don't even know that game.
So UFO 50, I think, is currently only on Steam, but the way it works essentially is, you remember the old meme game, Action 51, where it was like a bunch of really shitty games all shoved onto one cartridge, but it was like little bite-sized games, kind of like you would have like WarioWare and that sort of deal. Well, they built an entire game around that concept, but made all of the games good.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like you have a cartridge with 50 different games on it, and you unlock different things by playing and getting certain scores or beating certain things in different games. And there's also like a little overarching story sort of to it as well. And it's pretty cool going back and forth between the different genres of games and unlocking different things by playing through it. It's a really neat concept that I think more people should try to play if they have a chance. Like, definitely give UFO 50 a try. But again, Balatro is just digitized crack cocaine. So that was my pick as well. Yeah. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, I still want to get around to playing. It's on my list, but I just don't have the money for it right now.
I love that game. I thought it was fantastic. That was like probably one of the most engaging games I played in a long time. I like absolutely sucked into it.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Best community support is next, which is between Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, and No Man's Sky. There's one game on this list that does not deserve to be on this fucking list.
Helldivers.
Yeah, Helldivers 2 does not deserve to be on this list at all.
I think I voted for FF14.
Yeah, so let's vote for Helldivers, everyone.
So the thing about Helldivers 2 is there was a lot of controversy with the way the community was supported during the PlayStation whole adding PS Plus and then banning 180 regions from even playing the game. The devs, apparently, there was some chatter in their discourse where they were like, yeah, it makes it easier for us to ban people, so that's why we want to do it, which was not even true at all, and it was just something Sony was telling them to say. So they quite literally would constantly lie to the community about the reason why things were being done to their game at the time, and then everything that was good about the game they nerfed into the ground on purpose repeatedly, and made it so poorly received by the community by the end of it. I would say about 3 months into the game's release, 4 months into the game's release, the entire community had turned on the game to the point where they were throwing and trying to let the bugs and automatons take over the universe, because they were that mad at the community that was over Helldivers 2, essentially. But anyway, the answer to this one is No Man's Sky. It's always No Man's Sky.
Of course it is.
There's no way it's not No Man's Sky. They release 3 expansions every single year for free. How do you fucking beat that? I don't get it. How are they making money? How are they making other games when they are releasing everything for free for that game? They literally just did an N7 update for Mass Effect because someone had to, because EA wasn't gonna fucking do it, and they made an entire expansion where you can get the Normandy as a spaceship in No Man's Sky. That's fucking cool. They did more for Mass Effect this year than EA did.
Doesn't take much, to be fair, but
that is true.
True, but they put an entire campaign around it for a few weeks, which was really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So again, I picked No Man's Sky. I know the meme is, you bought it 5 times, whatever, ha 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 ha. But honestly, at this point, people should be playing No Man's Sky with the amount of shit that's been put into it by Hello Games. Hello Games completely turned that game around, and I still, all these many years later, they have not charged people a cent for any of the updates that they've made to that game.
That's good.
And then we have Best Ongoing Game. And we have Destiny 2, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and Helldivers 2. Again, I really don't like that Helldivers 2 is here, specifically because when I think ongoing games, I think games that have been around for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Not one that released this year, which doesn't really make that much sense to me. And then you put the controversy on top of that, and it makes even less sense.
I mean, I guess with as fast as games lose support these days, if you even make it through a couple months, that's pretty
weeks if you're Concord.
Yeah. No, Concord would definitely be a shadow on this category if it was in here.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about this one, Nick?
I mean, I think I voted FF14 for this one as well.
I voted Fortnite.
Fortnite. So, as you know, I've consumed a lot of Fortnite this past year.
You have.
And I feel like it's very spotty, right? You can have like good seasons, and then you can have good parts of a season, then you can have shittier parts of a season. So I think my problem is there's too much of an ebb and flow for that game for me to vote for them. And I mean, I had the most fun in the most hated season. So I mean,
that's 100% fair. I just looked at it as they added rocket racing, they added music
for
mode,
sure, like
and they brought back the old like season in the last year alone. So that's a huge thing that's happened over the last year. That is 2024 and 2023. So that's the reason why I gave it to them for best ongoing game.
So my problem is with that is. I do like that they put Rock Band in it. I do not like how expensive the songs are, and I do not like how they kind of fumbled around with getting like the older instruments and stuff to work, like all that shit.
Yep, and they still don't work. Yeah,
they still don't. And like you have to. The only way you can really play it with a controller is if you buy a overpriced PDP guitar controller.
Yeah.
So like that's my
an overpriced attachment to use your old guitar controllers, and then you have to also buy an overpriced guitar controller if you don't have them already. So yeah, I get that. Issue. That makes sense.
Rocket racing is fun. The Lego stuff is like that stuff is cool.
Yep. Yeah.
But like I said, I think there's too much of an ebb and flow to the quality here for me to be like, this is great support over time. Like even if it was just like consistent, like good. Great. It's kind of like good, whatever, and then back up again, and like So that's why I voted for 14.
That's very fair. And I kind of having that feeling now too that you mention it, because I'm still angry that we don't have Eminem in any of the music stuff.
I also didn't play any of the Marvel season because I thought it was trash, and I didn't get the battle pass for this new one, the throwback battle pass, because I don't really care about it. So I was like,
I grabbed the battle pass. I think it's a really easy battle pass this season. And I got all my points back already that I spent on the battle pass. So I just saw it as like net whatever. I haven't played that much this season, and I'm really getting to the point where I'm like, So you know what? Those are a lot of very fair points. However, I don't like. Well, I guess 14 is really good, but I haven't played 14 in forever. Out of everything I've played on this list, which Fortnite is the only one that I'd be like, yeah, I'd vote for that. Yeah. But I know 14 is really good, like from what everyone has said, but like I can't keep up a subscription.
I will say it's very funny because like I haven't kept up with anything for Diablo 4. But it's funny to see Helldivers 2, and also funny to see Destiny 2. Like, what you talking?
Destiny 2 should not be here.
Oh no! Like, why is Destiny 2
That kind of didn't even ring a bell with me when it was on the list.
Yeah.
You know what? You convinced me. I voted for Final Fantasy 14. I think you're right. I think you have a lot of very fair points there. And I'm also like, I'm just angry that they advertised and started the Fortnite music stuff with Eminem, and we've never gotten any music from him. And it's this season that he is part of the season, and we still have not gotten a single song from him.
Nope.
Maybe it's coming.
And I doubt it. I think there's some kind of problem where he won't let them have his music, or they won't buy it. Yeah, I think he's too expensive for them, honestly. Or he just won't let them do it. So I don't know. But I will say, you had the thing that really like clicked and made me go, you know what, you're right, Nick, was the fact that you brought up those instruments and how we still don't have functioning instruments, even though they are selling them as quote unquote functioning instruments. Because it actually gets worse. I have 2 friends that bought the guitars. Have you seen how bad the PDP guitars are?
So no, but I have used and have owned other PDP accessories. They are not a good accessory maker.
So strumming like in certain ways, while like tapping doesn't work correctly with the PDP guitars. So like the general basis of a Guitar Hero Rock Band game does not work correctly. So you have to strum every single note. You can't just like strum to a hammer-on and pull off. It doesn't actually work that way consistently. And and then my friends have been like, I'm dropping a lot of notes. And I'm like, why? This song's like
I've
super
had
easy.
Different PDP accessories before that were gifted. I've never bought one, but they've been gifted to me. And they either straight up didn't work or stopped. Like I have a PDP control, it's an Animal Crossing controller. It's wired, and it got stick drift in like a week, 2 weeks.
Oh jeez.
I also was gifted a PDP charging station. For my Switch controllers, just straight up just doesn't work.
That sucks.
So if it were a decision made by me, I would have told them to go with either I don't know if it's 8-Bit Do or 8-Bit Do, one of those two.
They're a better company.
Or even better yet, the best company they could have gone with, Hyperkin. Hyperkin would have knocked this out of the park.
You're right. You're 100% right.
Have you ever used any Hyperkin stuff?
I have, but I don't own any myself. I've just used them before.
It's all... I don't want to say it's expensive, but it's all kind of like premium priced things. But I will say they are the closest I've gotten to a first party feel of a controller as a third party controller manufacturer. And they have a hot dog controller. So like I can't not like them.
Of course. I get it. Yeah, like I said, you convinced me. Final Fantasy 14 is going to be the option for me now.
So,
does anyone have anything to say about the games for Impact category?
I haven't played any of these, so no.
I've only played one of them, and I hated it. So,
what's that, Mike?
So I think it's strange that they have 6 games in this category compared to
going forward. Quite a few categories will have 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't care about any of them though. So.
Okay, we'll move on. Innovation and accessibility. Anyone have thoughts on this category either?
I don't.
No, I wish they kind of told a little bit more information on what.
I think so too.
Here, because I'm like, okay, that's cool. You named all these games, but most people aren't going to be like, oh, why is this game more accessible?
Like I haven't personally used the accessibility features or know anybody who's used the accessibility features or how much they're helpful, so I couldn't really.
So out of all of these, I only know that Call of Duty shouldn't be in here because it has less accessibility features and it actually charges you $20 for one that they used to have for free.
The sound one?
Yes, the sound one.
Yeah.
So I actually don't have any horse in this race, but I don't think Call of Duty should be here either. That's the only thing I have to say about innovation and accessibility. What about best performance here? Anyone? Any thoughts on these people?
Let's see.
No.
Nope, don't care about any of these people.
So I voted Luke Roberts because I think he's fantastic in Silent Hill too. I think objectively, like looking at this from like an objective standpoint instead of just like subjectively, Hellblade 2 takes the cake here. Melina 100% would run away with this one and probably will win this one and does deserve it. However, I detest Hellblade 2. I think it's one of the worst games, not only that I played in 2024, but since the PlayStation 3 is one of the worst games I've ever played.
Okay. Shame. Because I feel like it was very hyped up and then a whole lot of nothing.
It took me 5 hours to finish it in one sitting, and I felt like it was a game trying to be more deep than it actually was. And a lot of the things that I was experiencing versus the way the game was presenting them was very simplistic, and then the gameplay itself wasn't enjoyable either. So I really, really dislike that game. But objectively speaking, Melina should win, but I voted Luke Roberts because he's really good in Silent Hill 2.
That's fair. That's a very fair opinion.
And then we have best audio design. Again here, objectively speaking, Hellblade 2 should win, but I do not give a shit because I really detest that game, and I voted for Silent Hill 2 again because its audio design is also really fucking good. But like, if you listen to Hellblade 2, you have all the whispering, you have all the this, that, and the other. The original game did, but the original game did it better. And as such, I don't give a shit about Hellblade 2 because it's a garbage game. So I voted for Silent Hill 2.
I probably would have voted for Hellblade 2, but just by default because the first game did it so wonderfully. But
yeah, and this one did it worse. So like, yeah.
I voted for Astrobot.
Okay.
Only because.
Can you tell me why?
So mostly because of the sounds coming through the DualSense controller.
Okay.
Kind of spoke to my specific brand of autism. So like in the specific levels, like the pixel levels, like when the blocks are all kind of like looking everywhere,
the clanking noises. Yeah.
Dude, if I could bottle that shit.
You know what?
Oh my god, dude.
That's a very fair point, and that was a really enjoyable moment in that game.
All of the tertiary sounds of that game, like all of like the so not so much the audio design in a way of like I think the one year I voted for what was it? Fuck, why am I blanking on it? Each Returnal, like that one had really good audio design because of the atmospheric audio and things of that nature. This one for me, I feel like just had a lot of like just very crispy and just really good kind of Foley work, I guess you would call it. Like the noise of Astrobot, like walking on the different types of terrains and like how the sounds that terrains make when they would either break or fall down or whatever. And then like all of just kind of the little like even like when walking through like an area that's like rain, like hearing like the rain pelt. Like I thought just the sounds in that game were just done just so crispy and just so good. Like I just thought they did a really, really good job with it. So
no, you're right. I agree, and you know what? That's a very good point. It was very fun. It was very enjoyable. All the sounds were good were great for what they were and everything. Yeah, I agree with you as well. I'm still voting Silent Hill 2 because I do think it was better. Plus, I'm more partial to the horror sound effects because, like we mentioned with Returnal, I do think having that atmosphere really adds a lot to it.
Yeah, no, I understand that because, like you said, like I feel like 80% of the horror you get from a horror game
is the sound.
Is the sound work, right? So, like, if you have a game that does that really, really good, and knowing that, because did Sony work on this with Bloober?
I believe so, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's a Sony exclusive for a number of months, so
I feel like this, like, if you plug a headset into the DualSense and like use like the 7.1 surround sound with this game.
I'm using my soundbar, and it makes my whole room sound like a fucking hellscape.
For sure. So like that's why like I completely get that because like I said that for me it will make or break a horror game. So like totally fair opinion.
Mike, any thoughts for you?
No, not in particular. Not for this one. I don't think.
Okay.
Nothing beyond what I already said.
All right. Shall we move on then?
Yeah.
Sure. All right, next is best score in music, and this is another really tough category, I think, when you look at everything here.
I don't think I'm really familiar with any of their music except maybe Final Fantasy VII.
I feel like it's unfair because, like, I was having this conversation with, again, my friend who plays a lot of RPGs and, like, JRPGs. It's so unfair because, like, FF7, especially, like, the newer ones, in my opinion... some of the worst Final Fantasy you can play. And not saying that these games are bad, right? Yeah. But that the company that it's in is so good that like I don't think FF7 even cracks top 5.
Yeah.
But in terms of music, I think FF7 is one of the best scores of any like RPG.
Okay.
I did not vote for Rebirth though.
Good. That's the correct answer, not to vote for it.
So like I don't know. Every time FF7 comes up in like even when Remake was in the score and music, I was like, it's so unfair because how the fuck do you look at FF7 and be like, no, this is better? Because I'm like, is it? But
there are two clear winners here, and one of them you won't like because you don't like what people on Twitter say about it, and the other one, you haven't played yet. So
Metaphor. I've heard Metaphor's music. Metaphor's music is really good.
Metaphor's music and Stellar Blade's music are up there with some of the best that I have heard since fucking Nier. Like, legitimately, even if you never touch Stellar Blade, listen to the soundtrack and then just pretend it's something else. It is incredible.
This is gonna sound silly. I did vote Astrobot for this one.
That's
only because
it's also great.
The last song of that, like when you're fighting the final boss of that game.
Yeah.
The song that Sega put together. What the fuck were they cooking? They were cooking.
They were absolutely cooking.
Yeah.
Brother man, I just listen to a few seconds of this for me in real time, and I want to hear your response. I know you hate the fact that this is Stellar Blade already, because we've already had a few.
That's fair.
We already had our conversation, but just listen to the opening of this. I'm sending it to you right now. Just listen to it.
Okay, let's see here. I don't understand. It's just leather rubbing sounds, but Brandon, this is weird. It's not fair, Brandon.
Dude,
this isn't fair. No, listen. I want to tell you why this isn't fair right now. This isn't fair because for the last week and a half, I've been listening to Machine Girl's new album.
Yeah.
So like this brand of music is just constantly been banging around my head right now.
Dude, this is the whole game. It's so fucking good. Like, the music is incredible, and it goes well with the environment and the actual gameplay. It's so fun.
That's fair.
So yeah, this is my pick purely because this entire fucking soundtrack is a banger.
I get it.
Fair.
Yeah. So yeah, Stellar Blade was my pick here. But Metaphor ReFantagio also has one of the coolest fucking battle themes ever. It is, I don't know what the fuck it is. Fuck. I wish I knew what it was called. I just type in main battle theme and hope it actually shows up, but I don't actually know if it will. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Oh my fucking god, dude.
No,
this too. No, yeah, no. I found it.
Oh fuck yeah,
dude! Listen to it at 30 seconds when the actual lyrics come in. It is insane how good this theme is. All right, it comes in at 30 seconds. It is crazy good.
Orchestra is gonna be. Oh wow,
it's so good. I like. Yeah, so it's really tough, but the only two choices.
Did you see the name of the account? The name of the account that had this music up?
I didn't.
It's Mega Me Butt Cheeks.
Well, okay. All right then. Okay, fair. I guess.
And, yep, that is their profile picture as well.
Yep, anyway. I just looked. Yeah.
Very good.
So Metaphor and Stellar Blade have incredible soundtracks, and I voted for Stellar Blade because I haven't played enough Metaphor to hear all of its soundtrack, but they're both absolute bangers.
Okay.
Best art direction is outstanding creative or technical achievement in artistic design and animation.
I don't remember. I think I voted Metaphor for this one just because the menus and everything was really, really pretty.
The menus for Metaphor are incredible. I don't think Atlas ever misses when they do like menus and shit like that. Like, have you seen Persona 3 Reloads?
Yeah, menus? I've played a little bit of it.
They're amazing. Metaphor also took this one from me. The ones that we have here are Astrobot, Black Myth, Wukong, Shadow of the Erdtree, Metaphor, and Neva. Astrobot, I think, is a very close second.
Yeah.
Black Myth, Wukong looks incredible, but it looks like the hyper-realistic graphics as opposed to stylized.
Is it not as good in motion?
No, it's good. It's great in motion. The problem I have is it's very not stylized to the point where it looks like, okay, this is kind of weird. Like, this is really pretty, but what's going on in this really pretty doesn't seem to translate well. It'd be like if I was in real life walking on the street and I like looked over and some monkey's beating the shit out of a giant weasel, and it's just like, oh, okay, that's cool, I guess. Neat. It's like very unsettling, like how good it looks. If that makes any sense, it's kind of like got that uncanny valley feeling to it, where it lies somewhere between incredibly photorealistic and I don't like how this feels. And that's how I feel about Wukong's from an art style perspective. I think Erdtree had some really good vistas and worlds, especially like the giant fucking finger graveyard area, which was super cool and very inventive the way it was designed. But like we were just saying, Nick, Metaphor, everything in that game oozes style and art.
Yeah, I'm very excited to play when I finally pick it up.
Just play the demo. It transfers over. It's like 6 hours long.
True.
So yeah. Neva, like I said, is also very, very pretty. I haven't played this one yet. It's from the same people that make Grease. If you've played that game or heard of that game before,
the movie?
You're the one that I want. You
are
the one I want.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. I should have thought about that before I said it. But anyway, no, that's a really pretty indie game, and I'm sure Neva is just as pretty because they do like a lot of watercolors with their art style and everything. However, it's probably very, very depressing. So I have not touched that game yet.
I think for me, Neva would be the winner just because I do pretend to prefer the more stylized. Or of that one compared to some of the others, but I mean,
you should look at Metaphor then. It is super stylized.
Yeah, but different kinds of stylized, I would say. But I mean, I just kind of like Neva's kind of more like extreme.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a totally fair opinion. And I think this one, when it comes to art direction, this is like one where you don't really need to have played the game to be able to make a decision about this one. You can look at art and be like, hey, that's nice.
Exactly.
Best narrative, and unless you have anything else to say, Nick, about that?
No, I don't.
Okay. So best narrative for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game, we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. I voted for one of these. Can you guess which one I voted for?
Silent Hill.
Yeah, because it was the best narrative 20 years ago, and it's the same game, so it's still the best narrative today.
Don't remember what I voted for because I haven't played any of these.
Yeah, Infinite Wealth would have taken it if it wasn't, again, for that final, 10 hours of the game, which really, really soured a lot of it for me, sadly. I think gameplay-wise, Infinite Wealth is really fucking good. But, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have any horses in this race narratively. I'd probably go with Silent Hill 2 if I was going to guess. Just because I have a general idea of half of the others. I assume that Metaphor is just ridiculous, which is probably good.
Metaphor is really good from everything I've heard, and from the bit that I've played of it, since I don't want to go into spoilers and everything, it was very inventive and different from other, Atlas IPs even. It was very interesting. So the only two choices I see here are Metaphor and Silent Hill 2. And I chose Silent Hill 2 because I don't know exactly how Metaphor ends or a large portion of it, because my friend is playing through it right now. He's about to finish his first playthrough and he's 83 hours in. So that should give you an idea of how long the game is. So yeah.
It seems reasonable.
Any other thoughts from you, Nick?
No, like I said, I haven't played any of these, so honestly, I know I didn't vote for Senua, but
yeah,
that's about it.
All right, let's go to the last two, which is game direction next. Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. And the nominees are Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor ReFantazio. And Nick, you and I have already agreed that anything Balatro's in, it's getting our vote.
Yep.
So,
I would shake your hand. Good.
So, that was my pick for this one. Thoughts from you, Mike?
I probably would give this one to Balatro too, honestly.
My man!
Oh!
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, it's like I said, even though I have my own, opinions of the game, I do think it's very creative, and I think what they did, obviously, there's a reason why it's so popular. It's got a lot going for it. There's a lot of interesting stuff there, and it's very unique. And I feel like a lot of these other games are kind of iterative in their own ways, but Balatro, I don't feel like you can really say the same for. So
you're right. You're right. That's a good. We all share the same opinion on this, and that's a big one. So now we're going to reveal Game of the Year nominees, and this one is causing a lot of discussion online. So here we go.
Yup.
It's the same category as last time.
It's the same category as last time. So, Game of the Year, recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. We have Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor ReFantasio. Me and Nick have already told you our thoughts. And we are literally going to give Game of the Year to a card game.
I'm curious. I was wondering if you crossed the picket line here, if you were a scab and didn't vote for Balatro.
Nope. Didn't happen. Didn't happen.
If I may,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Memeing and tomfoolery aside, I truthfully believe that Balatro is the best game here.
I do as well.
I do truthfully believe that, and for a bunch of different reasons, right? But I feel like it's one of the most creative things that are on this list.
This is like a conversation where I argued that Vampire Survivors should be Game of the Year. That is literally what this is.
It's funny because Brandon is. I mean, you're the person who I feel like is exposed to the most roguelike and roguelite type games.
Absolutely.
I also love those style games. So usually Brandon will be like, "Hey, this is really fun. You should play this." I feel like this is probably the best use of this genre that I've ever played. And what's really cool to me about roguelites and roguelikes is that they're so functionally different across the board. Mm-hmm. Like, you look at Enter the Gungeon, Vampire Survivors, and Balatro, not one thing is the same.
Nope. Not even a little.
And Black Myth Wukong, I called it Monkey Souls because kind of sorta. Elden Ring is just it's more Souls-like gameplay. FF7 Rebirth, Metaphor ReFantasio, these are just your not, I don't want to say run-of-the-mill RPGs to kind of dumb them down a little bit, but chances are if you've played a Persona game or a SMT game, you're gonna like Metaphor. If you played any modern FF game, you'll probably like 7 Rebirth. And then Astrobot, if you like solid platforming games like Mario Odyssey, Kirby, wasn't the newer Kirby that just came out not too long ago? Forgotten Lands.
Forgotten Lands. That game's excellent.
Astrobot, everybody compares Astrobot to Odyssey. I compare it more to Forgotten Lands.
I have to go with Odyssey because I liked Odyssey more than Forgotten Lands.
I spent a lot of time with Odyssey. I compare them gameplay mostly because of all the different stuff you can do with Astrobot, in different forms. But I truthfully believe that when you look at a game that is the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields, right? You have a game that is across all consoles, PC, phone, and works beautifully, is basically perfect across all of those. There's no glitches, obviously it's not a huge game, but I've played
it's made by one person.
It's made by one person, man. And I've played smaller games that had a lot more wrong with it, and on a much smaller scale.
I played bigger games that have a lot more wrong with it.
But I feel like from a pure enjoyment level, from a pure game level, I think Balatro is probably the best one on here. It's the one that I've given the most time to. It was if Balatro wasn't nominated for this, I would have given it to Astrobot. But truthfully, it's one of the most creative things I've played in a very, very long time. It's still to this day. I was playing Balatro before we started recording. I have 85 hours on Steam. I probably have. I probably have. I know I'm definitely. I don't know how I can track it on my phone. I'm definitely over that hours on my phone. I don't know if I would say double, but if I tracked it and it was double, I wouldn't be shocked. There are things that 100+ hours in, I'm still learning about the game.
That's true. It constantly keeps throwing new shit at you every step of the way.
And all the funny little Easter eggs, because I followed a developer on social media, and all the little Easter eggs that he's put in, it's so fun. And at the end of the day for me is what the best game that I played over the years, the one I had the most fun playing, the one that was most enjoyable. It's not always about the best story to me, because I feel like sometimes these games can get a little Oscar baity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much, unfortunately.
Yeah, so like The Last of Us, very much an Oscar bait style game. So I feel like for me personally, the best choice for here is Balatro. I might as well get into one of my disagreements on this Game of the Year list.
Oh yeah, we can have a conversation about that because I wanted to.
I wholeheartedly believe that Shadow of the Erdtree is okay to be in other categories. I do not believe it should be in Game of the Year. I only believe it's in Game of the Year because Jeff Keighley wanted to give FromSoft more recognition for Elden Ring. And I feel like if we're getting to the point where we're making special concessions for larger DLCs, that's fine. But why was it this year and not like last year when Phantom Liberty came out for Cyberpunk?
And I've got answers to that exact question.
Why is the special case for FromSoft this year other than the fact that people ride that game's dick?
Phantom Liberty was in 3 categories last year.
Not Game of the Year.
Correct, because it wasn't Game of the Year. It just wasn't as good. The entirety of Cyberpunk being redone with the new update that made it a better game and changed the whole actual gameplay mechanics of Cyberpunk is what made Cyberpunk better. Not specifically Phantom Liberty. Although Phantom Liberty is good, really good, I don't think it was Game of the Year good compared to several of the other games that were on the list last year. That's just my opinion. And I do have other things. I do have other thoughts also that I wanted to say. 2 things about Shadow of the Erdtree. I don't know 100%, but from all of my knowledge and all of the research I've done about the Game Awards, and from one little clip that actually made me really laugh, which was before these nominees were announced for Game of the Year, Jeff Keighley's not on the committee for voting for anything. And that committee consists of people like Kotaku, The Gamer, PC Gamer, and other places, other outlets such as that. And he is just the presenter of the entire awards and does not have the say in who gets picked and who doesn't.
This is really how it should be.
That is to my best knowledge. So I do think, and this was, I firmly stand by this. I think there are other games that deserve to be on this list. One of them you already hate, and it's because of the discourse that other people have given it. And because of that discourse, it was completely snubbed because a lot of people feel the same way that you do about Stellar Blade and about several other games that came out last year because of the discourse that a bunch of grifters from different sides of the community were doing and running all this bullshit on in order to push this sort of agenda being behind the backing of one game because, this game has elements of games from the past, such as things you would see in like PS3 games, PS2 games, and I want my gaming to be like that. But then people like Grums, as you pointed out, they latched onto that because they latched onto anything to try to make themselves relevant because they can't do anything to keep their stupid fucking game that they've been having in development for several years that they haven't even attempted to actually work on is actually just a gigantic scam, and they got laughed out of the industry. So the best thing they can do is to latch on to other news in order to make themselves relevant through hate baiting and shit like that. I think that Stellar Blade got caught in that crossfire, and as such, a lot of people will snub the game and not even attempt to play it, such as yourself included, as you have already mentioned throughout this entire podcast episode. And as such, I do think that a lot of the outlets that are the ones that voted did not want it on this list. And as such, we got a DLC here instead, just so it would not be put on this list. And I do think other games also had that same thing happen because other people on one side championed them, such as Space Marine 2, as opposed to and I'm surprised Black Myth Wukong's on here, to be completely honest, but I don't think that could have not been put on here because of the fact that Tencent is so heavily involved in the game awards. And I do think that a lot of this all comes down to the people that have the most power, which are the judges, which is 90% of the power of voting rights when it comes to the be-all, end-all say of the game awards. And I do think that Shadow of the Erdtree is here specifically for that reason, that they don't want other games to be here on this list. However, and this is the part where you will probably disagree with me if you haven't already disagreed with me, I think that there is enough content in Shadow of the Erdtree, as someone that played the entire thing, put 40 plus hours into it. I think there is enough game here in Shadow of the Erdtree. I think there is enough different mechanics here in Shadow of the Erdtree, and there's a completely, entirely new world in Shadow of the Erdtree compared to the original base game of Elden Ring, that you have to actually initiate and go into said new world, that if this game was named Elden Ring 2, it actually would 100% deserve to be in Game of the Year running. And that the simple fact that there is not a 2 in the title, and that it is an expansion instead of an actual new full game that you have to pay $70 for, and I had to pay less for it, and I got more content out of it than most of the games in this fucking list right here, which nothing against the games in this list, but there are games in this list, such as Rebirth, such as Wukong, such as Astrobot, as much as I love Astrobot, that are $70, $60 games, what have you, that gave me less content or gave me less meaningful content than Erdtree did this entire year. I do think one of the best gaming experiences I had this entire year was playing through Shadows of the Erdtree. I did really, really enjoy my experience with that game, and I do think that it was simply just a standalone expansion that you could just play, that it would deserve to be in the Game of the Year running. And as such, when I look at it that way and look at my experience with the game and everything, I don't care that it is here in Game of the Year one bit, because I think it deserves it. And I think that the discourse is kind of asinine when you think of the quality and the amount of content that is there, when you put it next to something like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, like Black Myth Wukong. Wukong, as you've stated before, is iterating on the Souls-like genre, that sort of deal. And although I have stated that it is a different kind of game, similar to how Stellar Blade is a different kind of game, to Shadow of the Erdtree, to Elden Ring, to Bloodborne, to any of those sort of games, those are two games that, as you mentioned before, are still games that you can point at and be like, this game is like that game. And as such, I actually firmly believe that if anything does not deserve to be on this list, it's Rebirth over Shadow of the Erdtree. And hottest pick you will hear, but I actually think Shadow of the Erdtree deserves to be here. And I think that you have 100% right to be like, last year Phantom Liberty was my favorite game of the year. And if that's what you think, I would 100% agree with you. I'd say that's great. That's cool. That was a game, because it added so much more content to the original game. It was a new experience, and it took place in a new part of the world, similar to Shadow of the Erdtree as well. And as such, if you wanted to be like, my game of the year from 2023 was Phantom Liberty, I would not even disagree with you, because I think expansions and remakes. When you look at expansions and remakes of games, I think there's enough new there that
depends, though.
Fine. I think it does depend based on the game. I think it does depend based on the game. I don't disagree with you there.
I wouldn't put the Persona 3 Reload in here. Like, I would have put Dead Space last year.
I'm not sure if I would have put Persona 3 Reload either, because they fucked up Lotus Juice's song, Mass Destruction.
I'm just saying, there needs I agree more with Rebirth being here than either of those other games, only because Rebirth is such a departure from what base FF7 was.
Yes,
dramatically different.
That I feel like it's so dramatically different that it's not the same experience anymore. Whereas like Persona 3 Reload, like, there's a lot of quality of life stuff. There's a lot of things, like you said, the mass destruction got fucked up. But like, I feel like if somebody were to go play Persona 3 FES and then Persona 3 Reload, they'd be like, all right, this is pretty much
the same experience.
Generally the same thing, like I said last year, like with the Dead Space remake. Like, generally like the same experience. So I agree more with Rebirth being here than any of them. I don't really like the idea of remakes and remasters being in these kind of discussions to begin with, though, because even though, like I said, Rebirth is such a dramatic jump from 7, it's still like, there's still be people who are like, oh, this is FF7. So
I don't agree with Rebirth being here purely on the fact that I don't think it was good. Like I mean, that's my thing.
That's fair too. But I also I don't know. My thing with Elden Ring is it got its flowers last year,
2 years ago,
or 2 years ago. Like that should be enough. I feel like if I remember correctly, when Shadow of the Erd Tree came out, I don't even think was it half of the player base could even play it because they didn't get to the certain part in the game that they could even access that part of the game.
Correct. And the community actually came together to walk people through.
Yeah.
And pretty much for a month, people were constantly helping people get to the content that they needed to so that they could play the DLC when it came out. And then when the DLC came out, it was the only thing that had a chokehold on the industry for about a month.
Yeah.
And I think that says something about a DLC.
It's just a weird
when something like that happens.
It's a weird spot because I feel like for you to be considered for Game of the Year, I feel like this should be a ground up experience. Like I shouldn't have to play the entirety of Elden Ring or even a good chunk of Elden Ring to play Shadow of the Erd Tree, but I do. Whereas I could tell Mike to go play Astrobot right now, and he just pops the game and he just starts playing it.
Yeah, I have no problems with that one.
So I think on that ground alone, for me personally, I wouldn't include it in these kinds of conversations. I get that there's a lot of content there. I do. But it's kind of weird because then you kind of get into a definition of what is a game? Is a game
I do think that's also
40 plus hour experience? Is it this? Is it that? So I think there's a lot of nuance to
and when you also have, like I said with Shadow of the Erd Tree, it's in a new entire part of the world.
For sure.
A completely whole new world with new concepts and stuff there. I think a lot of that boils down to how is it handled. And personally, in my opinion, I think the way that it was handled, if you have already played through the other game and whatnot, as you mentioned, which you do bring up a very good point, you do need to actually go through a substantial amount of the game to be able to get to Shadow of the Erd Tree, which is the same that was for Phantom Liberty as well.
Imagine for sure. Imagine them putting FF14 Shadowbringers on here. You got to play hundreds of hours of gameplay or buy a character.
That's very true. And what if it was the best experience you had that year, though? What if you played a game and that game was an expansion to something? Would you consider that then the game of the year, in your opinion?
No. Only because I don't consider it it's an expansion to a game. It's not a game. I would still if I didn't play Elden Ring, you know that. I wouldn't have played Shadow of the Erd Tree. But even if I did, I don't think I would vote for it in this category. Only because my definition of what I would accept would be something more like a standalone experience.
Yeah, I was going to say, a standalone expansion would be one thing, but the fact that this game has so many requirements expansion so many requirements to get into it, I think that should probably be a disqualifying event on its own. Although I imagine that they're probably put it on this list because I know even during the course of this year, Brandon, you're like, this game could be my game of the year.
Yeah, I mentioned it multiple times. Yes.
Yeah, and so there definitely is, I think the quality is there for it, and I think this is a good step towards, maybe acknowledging that. But I think that, I agree. I think that's kind of more of a disqualifying kind of piece there. It's because it's so inaccessible. If let's say this game won, and then people are like, yeah, man, I want to go play this. I never played Elden Ring. Well, you're fucked. You can't.
I do feel like it getting a Game of the Year nominee in and of itself is a really big honor.
Yeah.
I mean, just off of your love of it, I can tell that it's probably better than both Black Myth and FF7.
It is better than both of those. I don't know if it's better than Metaphor, and I don't think
it's not better than Balatro.
It's definitely not better than Balatro, and I also don't think it's better than Astrobot, because I think Astrobot was the most enjoyment I had in a game this year.
I feel like it's a really weird spot. I agree with maybe giving it the nom just as a recognition type of deal. Maybe there's a better way to navigate this in the future, because again, too, you can't have a best DLC / content category, right? Because it would be silly to put Erd Tree against I don't know,
the Vampire Survivors DLC.
For sure. Yeah. So that kind of a thing would be weird, because how do you compare the two?
And I think comparing the two, when you look at it, because here's the thing, and I'm gonna say this 100%, and you're not gonna like my joke, but I'm gonna say it, and I mean it, and I'm saying it with my full ass chest. We already had a DLC that was nominated for Game of the Year last year. and it was called Tears of the Kingdom. So,
yeah, but
that's extreme, Brandon.
That's you're jumping.
Yeah.
Well, okay, all right. Let me take you down my train of thought. Right?
I get what you're
same
saying.
assets. It was the same engine. It was the same world.
FF7 Rebirth.
Okay, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's eventually going to be a point where we're not going to be able to cut off the quality of a DLC versus the quality of.
Yeah,
I'm not going to even say DLC. I'm going to say expansion. It's an expansion.
I still feel like for me the biggest roadblock is the accessibility.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing there. And there's some big flaws with your logic too.
Hold on one second.
By what you're saying, Majora's Mask would be like an expansion.
It would. It was supposed to be originally. But that's neither here nor there.
Nope, it was not supposed to be.
Yes, it was a DD expansion.
No, it was not. It was not supposed to be expansion. Euro Zelda was supposed to be
sorry,
expansion,
you're right.
and that was supposed to be.
You're right. Sorry. You're right.
And there's
you're
lots of reasons why that was.
I got the two mixed up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got the two mixed up. You're right. I'm sorry about that. But let me say this, okay? Right? You guys are looking at this and being like, if someone wanted to go into Elden Ring right now, they would not be able to go into Shadow of the Erdtree.
Correct.
Okay. Elden Ring won Game of the Year 2 years ago. Do you not think that then made a lot of people go into Elden Ring and play through it and then finish it?
I think now more so.
If the community had to come together to help people get there.
So
I mean, it seems like enough people who bought the base game didn't even get far enough to play the DLC.
Well,
but I feel like at this point,
they did the FromSoft thing.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you know what the FromSoft thing is, which is they hid the DLC. So
I feel like at this point, right? Me as a cat, like I again have no horse in the Elden Ring race, but I feel like as a person who maybe hasn't played any of these games. Especially now, if Shadow of the Erdtree were to win Game of the Year, now somebody's like, "Oh wow, this is the second Game of the Year award this game has won. I really should play this DLC," and they can't. At least not right away.
I think it actually has a chance, and there's multiple reasons why I think that it was also put here, other than the one I've already given. You know, we just talked about Katakawa being bought by Sony.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Also, one of the leaked first release games for the next Nintendo Switch / Nintendo console is Elden Ring Complete Edition.
True. Question though, do you feel so? I know you were saying all the brouhaha about Stellar Blade. Do you feel like Erdtree is better than Stellar Blade?
Yes.
So maybe that's just the reasoning. Maybe they looked at Erdtree and they were like, you know, this is actually better than some of the actual big games we played this year.
And you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But then I look at the outlets and I look at the reviews that they gave to Erdtree, and I look at the reviews that they gave to Stellar Blade, and it kind of all falls in line.
But is Stellar Blade a good game?
Yes, it's fantastic.
Do you feel like it belongs up here with any of the other games?
I do.
Really?
I do actually think. I do think Stellar Blade, out of everything on this list, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we have 6 here, right?
For sure.
If we had 8, just a 4 and a 4 category, like 4 at the top, 4 at the bottom. If we had 8, and we didn't take any of the nominations that are here away right now, I do think that the perfect 8 games for Game of the Year this year would be Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Stellar Blade, and Silent Hill 2 Remake. I do think those are the perfect games to put in a Game of the Year running. See, I do not know what exactly I would replace on this list other than my bias towards Rebirth, because I found it really boring, and it does feel like a filler arc from an anime when you're playing it.
For sure. And maybe that could have been, instead of Rebirth, maybe Silent Hill 2, but who knows?
Yeah. True. I do think Silent Hill 2 is better than Stellar Blade also.
I think
that out there.
I appreciate your opinion, and I get your opinion. Like, you're making it a content, a DLC that's so big that it's bigger than the base game, or big that it can differentiate itself against
and also, the base game. You just said, maybe people looked at Shadow of the Erdtree and thought this was a better gaming experience than some actual games, and I do think that is. That's true. I do think that is true.
I think it shouldn't win. I think it getting a nomination should be more than enough of a feather in their cap for this DLC. But I don't think it should win, just because again, like the accessibility and just how you would go how you just go about playing it. And I know there's probably some people listening who are like, well, you can't play Rebirth without playing Remake. True.
But you can buy it and then be really confused.
I can go on YouTube and watch a 10-minute video essay. So I can't video essay my way through the DLC of Elden Ring.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong there, and I don't disagree with you on that. I do think that Elden Ring, having won before in the past, I do think you're a little bit at least underestimating just how many people went out and played that game after it won Game of the Year.
Sure.
That game was a fucking phenomenon even then. And then every year we have like people replaying it. So I do think that like when it comes to Elden Ring, if you were to stack Elden Ring up against any other Souls-like game ever released, I think it is the most likely that it going and leading into an expansion, more players would have actually played it than not. Because there is one thing you're missing, because again, you have mentioned that you've never played these games, you don't understand like exactly what's going on, but you do know that a vast majority of people had not even beaten the boss that you needed to beat to play Shadow of the Erdtree. Yeah. And I want to at least let you know a little bit of backstory on that. That was a secret boss. You had to beat a secret boss. So a lot of those players did beat the game. They just didn't beat the secret boss because they didn't know he existed. So then players told them, hey guys, and even outlets told them, hey guys, here's how to get to that secret boss in the months leading up to Shadows of the Erdtree. And then there was like a mad scramble. You would see streamers, you would see reviewers, you would see, content creators, you'd see all this stuff where people were showing how to do this. People were walking people through how to do this. The community came together as a whole to help people get to this boss and beat this boss. They put out guides on the best armor and this, that, and the other to help even newbies or people that are making a new character and going back through the game or what have you to be able to beat this boss and go through it. And there was such a gigantic community push in the gaming community as a whole to help people be able to get to this DLC. And then for like a month and a half when the DLC came out, all you would hear about was this DLC. I think for a lot of people, the best gaming experience they had in 2024 was Shadow of the Erdtree. And I do think it's in easily my top 5. And as such, that's why when like I look at this, I'm like, I kind of get it. Get it.
That's fair. I also just want to see Balatro take it.
I don't disagree. I would love for the Balatro sweep, like 100%.
Yeah.
Easily. And if Balatro wasn't on here, Shadow of the Erdtree wouldn't even be my second pick. But that doesn't mean I don't think it deserves to be on this list. I do think it deserves to be on this list. I think there needs to be a real discussion in the future about what is a game. Because I do think when you look at some DLC/expansions, there are some that you look at, as you've mentioned already, like Phantom Liberty, where you look at that and you're like, that's another game. That's not just a DLC. That's another game. That's another experience. And your feelings about Phantom Liberty are my same feelings about Elden Ring Erdtree. So that's where I sit at the end of the day.
I feel like I don't think any of them should qualify for Game of the Year because, again, I wouldn't, being a fan of Cyberpunk, I wouldn't have said yes, put Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty on the Game of the Year list just because it's not a standalone experience. You have to at least beat the base game, which is 20 hours, which again, not a long time, but still there's a commitment there. And there's still a hurdle to get over, which again, like I wouldn't nominate any FF14 expansion, any WoW expansion, any Diablo 4 expansion. Like I think there's other ways I think maybe that we can appreciate them, but I don't think this is correct. But again, I think just getting a nomination without winning is enough of a kind of signal boost for that studio and just that game in general. I don't think it should take the category. Even if Balatro wasn't here, like if Balatro didn't come out this year, I still don't think I would be in the camp.
I would vote for Astrobot still. If Balatro wasn't here, I would vote for Astrobot. However, like I said, I understand where this is coming from, and I do think there's another conversation that's really important to be had about this, because we give games as a service a really shit rap. Right? We give it a really shit rap. But think back to how gaming used to be on PC in the past, where they would release gigantic expansions that some people consider to be bigger and better than the actual original games and their own game, such as Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne. Such as something like Diablo 2
expansions and
exactly, Heart of the Swarm. Think of all those sort of things.
Some of those games were unplayable without those expansions. Honestly, really bad.
And I think that's a conversation that needs to be had, because I would 120% take expansion-based gaming as a way of extending a game's life versus battle passes and bullshit tacked on stuff that don't matter one bit and whatnot. And I think if maybe we saw a shift towards that in the industry, it would be better for the industry. But at the same time, then we would have to have this discussion of what is a game and what isn't a game. And when you think of something like Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne, do you think that's a game or do you think that's an expansion? If you look back on it and you think about that, you're like, damn, I loved that game. But you're also like, that's not a game, that's an expansion. But would I give it to Warcraft 3 over Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne? No, I absolutely wouldn't. I would say Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne is a much better game, even though it is an expansion that requires the original base game. And the same with the StarCraft, as you've just mentioned. And I do think that's a conversation that will have to be had in the future of the gaming industry, because I do think possibly this might be a shift towards more developers moving back towards expansion-based gaming as opposed to live service-based gaming, because live service games are failing massively, and I would much rather have expansions than I would live service titles.
One of the biggest examples of that for PC gaming, anyway, just celebrated its 20th anniversary this week. Half-Life. Half-Life.
Yeah, episode 1, 2.
Half-Life 2 and the episodes. Those are 3 different games.
They are.
Now they're one. Well, now they're one. But when I played it in the orange box, those were 3 very different experiences. So I get what you're saying, but that would be a good conversation for another day, where you can just kind of be absolutely. Well, what is, how do we define this game? Yeah. So.
Yeah. But that's my thoughts on the entire game of the year. I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Nothing we say matters when it comes to game of the year, because the people that are the judges have 90% of the voting rights over everything. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But I do think it's interesting having these conversations, talking about our feelings on what is in the running and our thoughts on it. So, yeah. And you know what? We yapped for a very, very long time. Mike, what would be your pick from this game of the year category?
I know. I probably would lean more towards Astrobot, I think, or Metaphor. One of those two would probably be my choices. I would say.
I mean, Astrobot's a solid choice.
Yeah, Astrobot's a very solid choice.
I was conflicted for myself for a very long time, and obviously, not to show my hand, I don't want to spoil anything for our own game of the year talks, but I feel like it's pretty obvious, kind of where things might fall for me, unless I play something else within the next month or so.
Please play Silent Hill
2. Yeah, that really kind of sweeps that. I do plan on getting Metaphor. I do plan on playing. I'm hoping to get Silent Hill 2.
Yeah,
if it goes on sale. And a couple of other things too. But I just
I made a joke because there's a lot of people, right, that are hearing about Balatro for the first time. Through this Game of the Year nomination, and I was in before Balatro sweep, because people are like, what the fuck is Balatro? And they hear about it for the first time, and then they play it and become instantly addicted, and as such, that's their vote.
Yeah.
And that's fair. Totally reasonable. I mean, I definitely find, indie games sweeping Game of the Year is more credible than, say, what we were just talking about. Maybe
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Indie games deserve to be in the Game of the Year talk, and I saw a lot of people that said they don't, and those people are fucking stupid and should get out of the industry.
No,
I again too, even if Balatro doesn't win, getting a Game of the Year nod for this silly fucking card game,
it being your first game ever, and you're a singular person making it, that's insane.
You couldn't tell me shit. I'd be walking down the street with my chest out. What are you talking about? This silly solitaire game I made is on a national stage. Get the fuck. What do you mean?
Nick,
what do you mean?
Imagine this. The Game Awards orchestra is going to have to play the opening theme to Bellagio. It's going to be incredible.
I think so. Real quick, because I feel we're definitely winding down. But there was a story that came out a while. I think it was like a month or so ago, where so the dev, he's on social media as Local Thunk, and he said that when he was in a conversation, in a meeting with his publisher, PlayStack, he had said, "Yeah, there's 120 Jokers in the game, whatever." And then like later on in that same meeting, one of the owners of PlayStack was like, "All right, so 150 Jokers," and he was like, "I'm just gonna make 30 more," and didn't correct him. And like in that 30 Jokers, like we got a lot of the Jokers that like I use, like the pair of pants Joker. I think the hanging Chad Joker
is so good.
Like there's a lot of Jokers that like if he had corrected him, I wouldn't have, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So I don't know. I follow him and just to see like a lot of the goofy shit that he posts about the game, and it's pretty entertaining. It's pretty funny, and I like that side of games and everything because like we talked about here, like there was a lot of noise on Twitter and social media about like a bunch of different like games like Stellar Blade and shit like that. Like I kind of like to see just people making stuff that they love and just being able to be goofy with it. So
I do think it's important though that we separate the fucking grifters and bullshit from the actual games that they're trying to correct.
It's hard, man, which is one of the reasons I'm not on Twitter anymore.
You gotta try, my dude.
I'm not on Twitter anymore because of all that shit, because it's just it's stupid. But man, it's rough out there. But
if I wouldn't have done that, I would have never experienced Silent Hill 2 remake, and I'm so glad that I did. I was right there getting swept up in the whole shit as well. I will firmly admit that I did get swept up in a lot of the grifting and whatnot, all that shit at the beginning of this year easily because I see something as a hobby that I really enjoy being like things are changing and it's kind of some things you don't like, some things are totally fine, and then you get stuck on one side because like I don't like this thing, but this guy's like I don't like this thing, and I don't like minorities, and it's like no, that's not me, that's not me, no, that's not me, no,
I also feel like clip that. I also feel like there was a little bit of like. Bloober didn't really put a good taste in people's mouths.
Nope. When they said that it was going to be a modern version, like for modern audiences,
and didn't they make
for modern audiences, you should probably just go ahead and shut down your studio because you're
made that like
you're over.
Didn't the game they made before this bombed? That was the Medium. The Medium.
Oh yeah.
That game was ass apparently.
Yeah, I played the Medium, and it was fine, but
I don't even remember that game.
Yeah.
And then whatever fucking Layers of Fear.
Yeah, Layers of Fear is a game they did that was very. And then they did the Blair Witch Project game. So yeah.
They did Observer and.
Observer's pretty good. I like that they had a conversation this year where they quite literally said, we've realized that we don't have to make shit games, and so we're not going to anymore. And it's like, okay, all right, cool.
Fair. That's very good. They're like, hey, wait, why are we doing this? We hate this. But yeah, so
that also didn't help that they had certain companies that were very controversial tied in with them as well, and that sort of thing. But it is what it is. When is the game? What day is that? 12th, December 12th. Yes.
So I'll be back after that anyway for our own Game of the Year stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's when you have time to play these games. But
I'm sure there's also a lot of silliness that will bound to happen. Maybe we'll get Schick Hydrobot back.
Yeah, if there's nothing else that you play, make it Metaphor and Silent Hill 2. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I would say and Stellar Blade, but I think you've already pretty much made your mind up with that. But if somehow I can convince you otherwise, you need to give it a go.
If I can borrow it from somebody, maybe, but I won't buy it.
I can't, or I would let you borrow it, but I only have a digital copy.
I think one of my friends might have it. I don't know. If not, I can maybe see. I have a friend who is a couple states over. Maybe he can mail it.
All right, if you don't want to give them money, right?
I don't.
Then first of all, they've done nothing wrong. It's everyone else that's done something wrong. But if you really don't want to give them money, do what I do and just buy it off eBay from somebody.
They did program the booby physics though, so I mean, I can put that on them.
I mean, is that really a problem though? Like, it's not like, who cares? Like, I don't get that exactly. I mean, it's just like fucking Dead or Alive existed, and so did Ninja Gaiden, and both of them had that as well, and we didn't complain about that back in the day.
I mean, I personally don't care about those games. I'm like, this is just like, how can I phrase this? This is a game for like kids who just Google boobs. Like this is just what they, oh look, I can see like scantily clad women. I'm like, all right, I guess.
True.
They're like, look at this game, look at the physics on her body. I'm like, you have not felt the touch of another human being, my brother in Christ. Like, yeah, this is cool, but like, please go touch with consent somebody willing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, go see what the world has out there for you. I promise you. But yeah, so.
All right. What else did you guys want to talk about?
Did we talk about Katakawa? I guess that's the last thing I would mention. The only thing
you just talked about it briefly before we started recording.
Yeah, but we didn't really mention it to Mike. I hate this. I hate the Katakawa acquisition rumors. It would be terrible and would potentially ruin two industries at once.
Yep.
That's where I stand on that. Because Katakawa, in case you don't know, owns the majority share of anime. And as such, if Sony were to buy them, they would own all global streaming rights to anime, period.
Oh.
So we would be fucked. You would have to only go through Sony no matter what if you wanted to legally watch anime. But also, they own most light novels, which are books of anime, and a large portion of the manga industry as well. So Sony would also own that. So Sony would basically have a monopoly over all anime if the Katakawa acquisition goes through. And on top of all of that, they would get FromSoft. And FromSoft, as I have just spoken for quite a while, is very, very good. I guarantee you that sequel you guys want to Elden Ring that'll be $70, $80, $90 and be as iterative as humanly fucking possible.
It'll be a live service game.
Will be a live service game that gets made for the next 10 years and remastered for the next 10 years, while Bloodborne and every other fucking game ever made by FromSoft sits in a fucking dustbin out back. And that is not fucking acceptable.
I don't know a rumor recently that they're working on
Dark Souls 3. That is already a awful idea. There is nothing wrong with Dark Souls 3. It already is where it needs to be. It doesn't need a remake. Just stop. There are some games that don't need it, and there are other games that do. Dark Souls 3 doesn't need it.
I think it would be interesting, all the people that will have to get a PSN account just to read manga as well.
As well as play any FromSoft game. And the 180 regions that will no longer be allowed to purchase legally FromSoft games, and as such will have to pirate them in order to play them. Yeah, that's great. I love that for FromSoft. Like, if they actually do go through with this, it will be awful for gaming as well as the entirety of the anime industry.
Does Sony really? This is a legitimate question. I actually do not know. Does Sony have any anime assets currently?
All of them, except for Katakawa.
Real quick, something interesting. If this was to go through, they would own the developer of Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but they own Aniplex, Funimation, Crunchyroll, and actually a funny snippet. I'm usually not a person to really care about like the small censorship stuff people do because I'm like, all right, whatever. But I did see a post where it was a conversation about the anime for Nier Automata, and Yoko Taro wanted specifically a sex scene between 2B and 9S. and they were like, no, I don't think that 9S would do that. And like the balls of you to tell the creator of something that their character wouldn't do a thing.
Yeah,
that's pretty wild.
Insane. That's insane.
I mean, like, I'm not trying to be like, yeah, they should have fucked, but like, I think it's really weird to be like, hey, this character you created, we know
better than you.
Yeah, like that's a really weird thing to
Mo in general when it comes to anything. We know better than you. It's wild. I just so currently, as Nick just said, they own the entirety of Funimation, which they killed and smashed into Crunchyroll, which they own the entirety of Crunchyroll, and they own all of Aniplex, which is a large portion of the anime industry, and that's also been rolled into Crunchyroll. They own a lot of anime figurines and manga distributors right now, and pretty much the only holdouts are the ones that Kadokawa has. And if they do get Kadokawa, they will own the entire anime industry, more or less.
Yeah.
And when you have the conversation like what we just had, where the creator of an anime, a game, whatever, tells you, this is what I would like, and your distributor says, I don't think they would do that, and you're the one that made the content, but because you have majority shareholder rights over everything, you could tell them no, that's insane. And that's the kind of person you're dealing with when it comes to Sony.
As a Monogatari fan and a Fate fan, I'm really surprised at the stuff Sony let Aniplex get away with. But, yep. So that's going to suck. Hopefully it doesn't go through, but who knows?
I don't want it to. It would be really, really bad.
Well, I mean, if they own that much, I mean, there definitely would be theoretically an antitrust kind of thing.
They can't. It's Japan to Japan. It wouldn't go into effect, so they can literally just get away with it. Two Japanese studios would be able to. It wouldn't matter because antitrust is not a thing in Japan. Oh. So yeah, they can get away scot-free and own the entirety of anime unless they don't have the money to buy Kadokawa. So I'm hoping that some of that money laundering from Kadokawa comes in handy here, and they'll like shove it, Sony.
And hopefully Sony lost enough money with Concord.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sure they did. But they're probably looking at this as money bags. They'll be like, oh, we'll make back all this money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plus, again, like I said, we were just talking about the anime portion, but FromSoft for the last several years have wanted to remake Bloodborne or do something with it, and every single step of the way, Sony has told them, no, you cannot do this with your own IP because we own the majority sharehold of this game. Mm-hmm. So take that into account. If they got FromSoft, they would literally be able to dictate what they can and cannot make anymore.
But then have the balls to put the Hunter in Astrobot?
Astrobot. Okay, listen. Astrobot, a lot of people say that Astrobot is a game that celebrates gaming. It's not. It's a video gaming graveyard.
It is a great, for sure.
It's of all the companies that Sony has bought and fucking thrown into a dumpster out back because they're not making live service games for them.
Astrobot, so like I know we talk about how much we loved Astrobot, but at the same time, Astrobot is like a monkey paw because you're like, oh wow, look at all these really cool things we could have.
That will never happen again.
Damn. You know what I mean? Like, but
that's 100% what it is, and it's so upsetting. Also, I just saw the anime facts thing that you were talking about, where Yoko Taro wanted to add an intimate sex scene between 2B and 9S, and fucking it was rejected because of Sony.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. So apparently, though, it sounds like part of this move to get Kadokawa, however you say it, whatever. I'm already oversaying the name. Is to fend off maybe a potential takeover.
By who?
Probably
Kakao. Apparently, they've been rapidly buying up the Kadokawa's shares over the last year, and it looks like the Sony buyout might be to keep the Kadokawa in Japan primarily.
Who is Kakao?
I googled it fast. It sounds like a Korean company.
I think I'd rather have them have it than Sony.
They are a Korean company, pretty huge.
Yeah,
apparently their revenue as of 2020 was $4.16 trillion.
Oh,
that's a lot of money.
And their net income was $167.1 billion.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And apparently in January 2021, they were the largest shareholder of Katakawa, and they've been buying up shares, I guess, rapidly over the last year.
They're a company kind of like who's that giant Chinese company that buys everything?
Tencent?
Yeah, they're kind of like Tencent, where like they have their hands in a lot of different baskets. So they have like their own like vehicle division, like mobility division, social media type stuff. There's a very large chat app that they have.
What is it called?
Kakao Chat.
Oh, okay.
And it's basically like their WhatsApp in a sense, but just like a lot more people use it. So they're like a huge company. So
okay, that makes sense, then.
Yeah. All right. What else?
Yeah.
I think that's where I stand. Katakawa being bought by Sony would ruin a lot of things. I'm not sure how Kakao would handle them, so I don't know. I have no track record to follow from them.
If I were to guess, probably worse.
Okay.
So
worse than telling creators you can't do this thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd probably see something more along the lines of how like Metal Gear was just a pachinko machine for like 10 years.
I see.
Yeah, I agree with Nick, because I feel like at least Sony would be buying them to utilize them, whereas a company like Kakao probably is more likely to utilize them for parts. But
you're basically, on one hand, you're gonna have some pretty shitty support and censorship, where on the other hand, you're probably just gonna have like licensed things. So,
wait, which one's which?
Kakao would be licensed things, and then Sony would be, the other shit. So,
all right.
Anyways,
so either way, it's dead. It's over.
It's so over.
Hey, who knows? I mean, honestly, all this stuff could just fall through either way. Maybe they can fend off a takeover. But we don't know. Too early to tell. I mean, they're saying, the Routers is saying, Routers, I don't even know how to say it. I forget. I always hate their name because it's not Routers, which is what I want it to be. They're saying that they're in like really early talks. So like this is not anywhere like near completion. My guess is if they're in really early talks, we're talking like probably more than a year, if not longer. But we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap up?
I think that's it. I think we had a big discussion today. I think that's a lot.
Yes, we did. Yeah. Lots of things. All right, let's wrap it up then.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to us tonight. Don't forget to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to reach out to us, you can check out our website, game-crunch.com. It has all of our old episodes. And you can send us an email at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon.
Yep.
Any final thoughts?
Nope. I think I'm good.
All right. Nick?
No, I'm all shagged out.
Okay. Same. All right. Well, that's it. My name is Mike Anastasia. You can find me online. I'm Clash of Penguin there or on your favorite gaming console. Until next week, game on.
Game on.
In the night, the screens are glowing. Voices whisper, stories flowing. Game of the year, who shall win? Let the guessing games begin. Tensions rise as votes are counting. Anticipation all surmounted. Players' dreams on the line. Let the reason steep incline. Oh, can you see it? The crown's within your reach. Oh, will you be it? The one they'll talk and preach. Game of the year. The prize is almost here. Game of the year. This moment crystal clear. Behind the scenes, the arguments. Streams of data, evidence. Critics' marks, score by score. Who will stand and roar? Every click, every tap, the weight of every map. Hopes and fears entwined as they watch the time. Whispers fill the air around. Who will wear the golden crown? Excitement at its peak with each game critique. Oh, can you see it? The crown's within Game of the year. This moment crystal clear. Behind the scenes, the arguments, streams of data, evidence, critics' marks, score by score, who will stand and roar, roar. In the night, the screens are glowing, voices whisper, stories flowing. Game of the year, who shall win? Let the guessing games begin. Game of the year. This moment crystal clear. Behind the scenes, the arguments, streams of data, evidence, critics' marks, score by score, who will stand and roar.
There she is.
Yeah, that was a long one.
Yes, it was. I gotta go because I gotta go eat. I still haven't eaten.
Yeah, I'm out too.
All right. Well, I will be in the chat, so I will see you guys.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on, Nick.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll see you back for 600.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Hell yeah. All right. You guys have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.